We're live. Hello, friends. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you so much for joining us live on Facebook and on YouTube. Don't forget to check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com, and find us on the Instagram and Twitter.
Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry.
All right. So, do you have anything to say to our lovely friends?
Hello, people. We're here again.
We're here. We're back. Guess
Whatever
who's
that-
back?
for whatever
Back,
that's worth.
Back. Hey, it's worth everything, according
it?
to me. Yeah, I think
Is
so.
it though?
It is.
For the 3 people that care.
Yeah, that's all that matters. I'm going to go tell those 3 people right now, come watch my show. Actually, 2 people right now. We've just been made aware this week that there are actually Mexican and or Hispanic people in the state of Missouri because they found
Found one?
They found a Mexican restaurant, and I said so. Basically, found the one family that lives in the entire state of
Because I
Missouri.
did ask I would like a report if they found one, because there certainly wasn't any when we went.
Well, we also found out that the husband calls the place
The what?
Missouri. It's not Missouri. It's called Missouri.
Who said this?
The husband. They traveled to Missouri.
I don't know what husband we're talking about, but okay.
The person that lives in that goes to Missouri.
Oh.
They're going back to
You're going back to
Missouri.
another conversation. Sorry. Okay.
Anyways, never mind. Welcome. I'm waiting for you to share and do your thing. Are you ready?
Sure, why not? Go.
All right. So, what do we want to talk about first?
I don't even give a diarrhea.
Okay, well, these are our options here. So we can go in that order, or we can go in this order.
Don't even care, sister.
Well, why don't you tell me about this?
All right.
Because you've already seen this before, right?
Not this.
Oh, okay. I'm confused about what this is.
So basically what has happened, this thing didn't share like it's supposed to, so give me a second. Basically, we're talking about Jackass 4.5. There was a film that came out. There was Jackass Forever, which was essentially...
That's the most recent.
That was essentially Jackass Part 4.
Okay.
And...
Oh, like 4 ever? Or was it forever?
It was forever. It was like, it wasn't written like the number 4,
okay.
But this was actually Part 4 in the franchise.
Gotcha.
And I don't know why this is not working. But with almost, if not all, the Jackass movies, they end up putting out another version. There's the main version that comes out.
The theatrical version?
That's the one that came out in the theater, and that's what everybody saw. Then there's another version that comes out that I believe they did 3.5 and whatever.
Yes, I know there was.
And basically what it is typically it's just all the stuff that didn't make it into the movie. And they have so much footage of stuff that either couldn't get approved or ran too long, or they didn't think it was as funny as something else to get the amount of runtime. They cut it out. So they end up making an entire another movie that gets released on like straight to video or streaming or something like that. This one was straight to Netflix.
I see.
And so Jackass 4.5 is that, but it's also a little bit different than the previous ones. This is also kind of a making of / new variation. So it's a series of a lot of new stunts, but unlike the other movie where each thing just goes and fades into the next stunt, this one has a lot of the interviews with all the different guys that are in the movie, talking about how it came together with this new cast, why they made another Jackass movie after so many years, when they all kind of felt like they were probably done.
Yes.
And then it talks about how
they're so old.
Here's what's
got to be catching up to them.
Here's what's funny is when they started to make it, Johnny Knoxville, they all had felt after Jackass 3 they were finished.
Right.
They had done the series, they'd done the movies, they moved on. They all did different shows and movies and other things.
Been doing different things.
And they decided to come back. Johnny Knoxville, he said for 10 years he's been writing stuff, like bits and things that they were going to do. And for whatever reason, he was cleaning out. He started reading them. He started getting spark. So he said, let's pitch it and see what we can do again. But they knew that it had been so long that they wanted to bring back everybody that was left. The only people that didn't come back were Ryan Dunn, who's passed away, and Bam, who's sadly been dealing with a lot of drug and alcohol problems.
I was going to ask how he was doing.
Yeah, he's apparently still not good. And so they did not bring him back. That became a big thing, which sucks. But And the polar opposite is Steve-O, who used to have a lot of problems, is super clean and healthy and really good. And he was the craziest of the bunch.
Right.
So then it made you wonder, is he going to be as crazy as he used to
Whatever
be?
happened with Bam? Because remember, he had that TV show with him, and he had gotten married to that girl. Or
They got
even still married?
divorced. I think he got remarried to somebody else.
Oh goodness.
I
Okay,
don't think
sorry.
I don't
That's
know if
the
they're
only
still
thing I know
together.
about them.
Yeah, he was also on that that celebrity rehab show at one point. I was like, he has not been, and I think his spiraling out of control went when Ryan Dunn died. Ryan Dunn was his best friend.
Yeah.
He died in a car accident, and things just seemed to get worse.
It's too
before I
bad.
remember that. So,
Anyways, okay.
anyway,
sorry.
yeah. So this new one deals with. They finally decided. So it's been the same director and producer from day one, Spike Jonze and. I forget the director's name, Ryan or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's the same people that have all been working together since way back, since the TV show.
Yeah.
And so they contacted them. They're like, I don't know if this is going to work. We can't do this. But they knew being older, they were also need to get some new blood in here.
Yeah.
And so they started. So this movie also tells how they got about bringing this group of people in. There's a female capable, Rachel Wolfson, who's a stand-up comedian. There's Poopies. There's Jasper. There's all these different people. And so they talk about how they met them and learned to they got them together. In the midst of all these interviews and stuff they're talking, but they're showing new footage. So like they got everybody together and they shot some test footage just to see how it was going to look.
Right.
Most of that test footage made it into the film.
Oh, wow.
So then they went to start shooting on March 3rd of 2020.
I know.
And then quite literally, the day they started shooting, they got shut down of COVID the next day. It didn't start back till October 2020. So then they said, one of the things you may notice is in March, Johnny Knoxville had dark brown black hair. In October, his hair was solid white.
Correct.
Gray, and it's been that way ever since.
Yeah.
So it was this big change of that. And so they had to deal with. So the movie talks about, it shows them dealing with their COVID stuff and how they had to shoot it. And even how they used the COVID to feed another prank into the behind the scenes. It wasn't even part of the movie. It was
funny.
And also talks Eric Andre, the guy that did that Bad Trip movie that's kind of like Jackass, but it's him and Tiffany Haddish and them. He's in the movie.
Oh, cool.
The original movie, and this was a lot more of his footage that wasn't in the film. And
so this is just like outtakes or extras or behind the scenes or everything?
Yes, it's all of those things. It's making of stuff we didn't get to see, kind of a little more in depth on how, not only how some of it was done, but how some of these people reacted, and also how the new cast reacted to doing certain stunts and being on this set. And and then there's the whole opening sequence of Jackass Forever. They always spend the biggest money on their budget on their opening and their end sequences. There's like these big elaborate sets, and then everything else is just these intimate pranks, and this one is it's a sea creature Godzilla like destroying a city. So it's all these big stunts of, you see like Wee Man and this other guy get exploded off a marquee, and you have this other person get hit with something big and heavy. So they add the stunts into the destruction.
It's crazy.
But the whole scene is actually shot. Chris Pontius, it's his penis. They actually had makeup artists making up his penis to look like Godzilla. And so he's laying under a fake city with his penis and testicles. His testicles are the stomach of this creature, and then they're puppeting it. And so they were talking about how they had to, people that worked on this movie are like major players in Hollywood. Like the people that did, these people are makeup effects people that worked on like Academy Award winning things, and puppeteers that were on
now
stuff.
They're doing a penis joke.
Yeah, and then like stunt people that worked in Marvel movies and cinematographers, and then they got like little puppet of a penis, because the penis is like this in the arms, and so he's like, they spent all this money on these maids. It's a hilarious sequence. But anyway, so Jackass 4.5 is essentially just a making, a behind the scenes, more footage, more fun continuation of Jackass Forever, and it's on Netflix now. So if you like Jackass Forever, it's definitely worth checking out. It was a blast. It had me cracking up.
Oh Lord!
I don't know why you don't like this. Does have Jackass Forever has more penis than not only the other Jackass movies, but they made a statement that it probably has more penis than any non-porn related film of all time.
Wow.
There's a lot of penis in this movie.
Okay.
They do this one where they take this plastic plates, like plexiglass. And so how you put things like a slide, where you put a slide down on things and you squeeze it and spread out the thing. So they bolt on them, they put their penises in them, they squish them down, they tighten them till their penises are flat. and then they put like a little ping pong net and they're playing ping pong.
Why?
And then they start pulling it. I don't know why, but I'm like, Jesus.
Are they like screaming?
Oh yeah. They're not pleasant. Anyway,
Okay.
it's a great movie. It's a lot of fun.
I don't know how that's great or fun, but
it's hilarious to watch.
All right. Which way do we want to just go this way?
Wherever you want to go, dear.
I want to talk about this.
Okay.
Complete opposite. Your children may now start watching. I don't know. This one is
this
so
is a
bizarre
movie that
it shouldn't work.
I was against because it's very much like I have this. We've talked about this before, like when they made the Tom and Jerry movie, or they make Garfield or Underdog or whatever this. In this, most of them head into this, but when they blend live action and animation, it rarely works.
Correct.
You know, Alvin and the Chipmunks worked okay. They're not great movies, but it worked okay.
Yeah.
Roger Rabbit is really one of the few rare ones because they worked it into the story that really works. And this one, and thankfully, I'm not the only person that has said this. I've heard a lot of people say that this movie is kind of a spiritual sequel to Roger Rabbit in that universe, complete with appearances.
Yeah, all the cameos and just little pops of people here and there, or characters and not people. Sorry.
Yeah, they're not all Disney.
No, but it's amazing. And like, you've got to pay attention to this one. It's okay. So this is Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, the movie.
Yeah. So if you don't know what the Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers was,
where have you been?
It was a series that ran for 3 seasons. It was an animated series where they took Chip and Dale, who were obviously just the Disney fun-loving Chip and Dale chipmunk duo that we used to just see in generic cartoons, and much like DuckTales and all the other ones, they threw them into like an adventure team. Where if you look at the way they're dressed up, one is actually dressed like Magnum PI, one is dressed like Indiana Jones. That's kind of how they were modeled.
Yep.
And then you had their little crew of people, and they went on adventures and
go rescue things.
Yeah, it was an action adventure comedy kind of thing. So this new movie is not that. What it is, the first time I saw the trailer and heard about what they were doing, I'm like, this is either going to be absolutely genius or it's going to be a train wreck. Because the premise is they are playing Chip and Dale, the actors, years after Rescue Rangers went off the air.
Yep.
And they no longer speak. And of course, if you look at the image, you're like, but one of them is a traditional animation, one CGI. It's explained in the trailer and in the story that I'm gonna guess that's Dale. I always forget which one's which.
Yes.
He had CGI surgery to get himself up to date, so he was more marketable for the more current animation stuff. So that's why he's a different style. So he basically had plastic surgery for Hollywood.
Correct. So funny.
We live in a world where animated characters coexist with live action characters, just like in Roger Rabbit. So, like, there's a sequence going to school, and you have cartoon animals and cartoon people and regular people, and they're all in the same school. So you buy into that universe because it's just how it is.
Yep.
We're all cohabitating.
We coexist together.
So in the movie, basically, something happens that causes them to get back together and end up on an adventure.
There you go.
That's where we're at. And I will tell you this. I love this movie.
I really liked it. I'm not going to say I loved it. I liked it. I did like that we get to explore all the different animation styles, because there is a variety based on the different cameos that show up. But character, I keep calling them people.
Because this movie makes you believe that they're all the same
in their original art styles, which is interesting with the new, because some of them, like, the reference is like so old, like 80s and 90s, but that cartoon animation style shows up and it's just blended in with everyone else, and like they haven't changed.
You have puppets, you have claymation, you have traditional animation, you have anime-ish, you have CGI, you have different elements of the video game stuff, and they're all like, they make throwaway joke references about it. Like there's one this isn't part of the main movie, but there's a sim type human that's just walking, and he's stuck in a fire hydrant, and he's just walking straight ahead. It's just
funny because that's what they did.
And he goes, oh, that's that period of video games when they looked really real, but everything was creepy and you couldn't always control it, and it's interesting because there's so many of the silly cartoon jokes, like something was getting dropped on somebody's head and they open a little umbrella, but it's kind of dark. It's not dark like everybody can't watch it, but it's it's not just a fun loving thing because it's
They're
like
dealing with a serious
this
story.
is why it's very much like Roger Rabbit is they're dealing. It's almost the same movie. They're dealing with somebody that's doing something to tunes, essentially, and the villain is a traditional Disney character, but who's now grown up and he's a criminal. They play up the whole drug use mentality, but it's with cheese. So there's like an actual
I need the cheese.
like a crack house, but it's like a cheese house, and there's all these rats and mice feeding each other cheese, and they're all like,
they're like the
cheese.
stinkier,
They
the
like
better.
the stinky cheese, and and it's so silly, but it's so genius at the same time.
Because that's, I think to me, the funniest. There's a couple of scenes where they're at a con, like all these characters. That's where you see different people, and they're at a con, like signing autographs and all that. And I'm just like, this is hilarious.
There's live action cameos from, we'll just say, a Marvel character. Seth Rogen plays a Dungeons and Dragons, World of Warcraft type character, and they even play up like all the voice work he's done in a funny scene.
Yeah.
There's so many things that you could. The stuff that really sells this movie outside of just the fun of the story are those cameos and the little nods and stuff, but you can't tell you because that.
And there's something that cracked me up, and it was the most dumb thing ever. I don't even know, but that's what normally gets me. It's like dumb one-liners.
It's like the Mr. T joke from the other day.
Yes, that cracked me up too. I mean, so I think there's some real funny moments. I do think there's some heartfelt moments between Chip and Dale dealing with the differences and that feeling like, oh, you left me behind, and I was trying to be successful on my own, which I think probably happens in real life with characters or stars when they start together and then they break apart. Anyway, so I think it's funny because we're dealing with some real heavy dramatic issues, but with cartoon characters.
Yeah.
But it's a really good movie, and it has no business working at all.
And the reason I think it works as well as it does is the people behind the scenes, because Akiva Schaffer, I think is how you say his name. He's part of the Lonely Island, which is him and Andy Samberg, and I don't remember the other guy's name. But they made Pop Starter, Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Never Stop, Never Stopping.
They did a bunch of stuff, with Saturday Night Live and things like this. So that gives you the idea. These are people that are probably fans of the show, and then they just went on.
So all cartoons at that time period.
Yeah, and they clearly loved Roger Rabbit, because I mean, there's even a direct nod to the thing about Roger Rabbit with Roger Rabbit or doing the Roger Rabbit with Roger Rabbit. It's this whole funny joke, but it's like the cameos and then the story and the playing it serious, even when it's the most ridiculous thing, it just works. Yeah. It's like I would never thought I'd be sitting here telling you that Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, the movie that was not a flat animated just version of Rescue Rangers, would work.
Chip 'n Dale.
And I believe there was a Rescue Rangers movie, wasn't there?
I think there was a little animated movie. I think.
Or was that another rescue thing?
I don't know. Rescue Rangers.
The Rescuers is what I'm thinking of.
Oh, Chip 'n Dale to the Rescue?
No, the Rescuers is what I'm thinking of.
Oh. Who knows? There's a lot of little cartoons.
The Rescuers Down
Under.
Yeah, which are still mice and stuff. But
yeah, that was good. You're thinking something else, but I did like those.
Yeah.
Anyways, check out Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. Where do I find it, babe?
It is exclusively on Disney Plus, which makes me sad because I would have really loved. I think this movie would have done well on the big screen.
I think so.
I think it would. I
think it would have entertained everyone.
I think this would have been one. I don't know if it would have made the box office that it should, because I think there's a lot of people that may not know what this is. They see another raping my childhood mentality, and they see one CGI, one not.
This one pays homage to every childhood cartoon we ever watched. Just know that.
And some current controversies and stuff about movies that were made, and which one of them is the most genius thing ever. And they kind of take jabs at it. So it's almost like
it's funny.
That sequence and the controversy of the sequence existence that then made that other thing a franchise better because it was altered.
Yeah.
But because it was made in the first place, made a whole nother joke
for this
funny.
Movie. It's just like,
it's like now they've gotten play out of all of it.
Yeah. They made it work. No publicity is bad publicity, right?
I really wish I want to see not only behind the scenes of making this, but what it went into it to get some of the permissions. Because there's a lot of those characters that show up that are not Disney based or Fox based. So I want to know how they got the permission, what they did to, or like with that one character, did they even need permission because they called it something else?
Correct. Well, and because it wasn't ultimately
what was used. But then there's other characters that are clearly
not
Warner
related
Brothers or
to any of
clearly
this.
Sony
Yeah.
or clearly this. I'm like, what did they need to do? Or is if they don't mention them or they don't make them talk, can they use their likeness? So who knows?
I don't know.
Because some of them have
There's got to
dialogue,
be
some of them don't.
rules.
Can I just say one of my favorite parts? And it's kind of like you laughing at random things.
I do all the
There's
time.
a fire character at the convention, and I say it's fire based. I don't because I want to tell you who it is. But they go to try to sign an autograph, but they're fire, so they're just setting all the autographs on fire every time they try to take it. It's really funny.
I'm gonna take a picture behind the scenes of what's happening on our show.
Okay, we're not supposed to do that during the show.
Okay.
Anyway,
but
as
you
she
have
said,
to see it.
Chippendale Rescue Rangers is available now on Disney Plus. I saw somebody else post and said, "This is 2 hours I'll never get back in my life." I'm like, I thought this was fun, and I've seen a lot of people talk about it, thinking everybody thought it was way more entertaining than expected and had a blast with it. So
it's just fun.
Just go in there, have some fun, and move on with your life.
Yeah,
don't try to take things so serious.
Yeah. All right, we got this or this. What you want?
Oh, pick one. That one's older.
This one. Here we go.
All right, so the next one, we're way behind on this, both in the theater, we didn't get to see it, and then it's already been out on Blu-ray and DVD for a couple weeks now.
We just got caught up, okay?
Yeah, so
they
never sent it to us, so we watched it on our own accord. For the movie Uncharted, based on the popular video game of the same name, starring Tom Holland, as we all know is
Spider-Man,
and Mark Wahlberg, as we all know as
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
We'll go with that, as well as Zorro, also known as
Antonio Banderas.
In the rare case that I can mention a character and she knew the actor.
Exactly.
Why? Because he was Hispanic.
Because it's Antonio.
And then what did you say this movie was?
There is eye candy for all generations. There you go, ladies.
So anyways,
and or men, if you're into that.
So the movie is essentially like an action adventure. Indiana Jones meets Goonies meets.
What did I tell you? It
meets Tomb Raider meets the Da Vinci Code.
Yes, I said Da Vinci
meets
Code.
National Treasure. It's all those kind of movies.
All of it. It's a treasure hunt movie.
So we need to say this first because our review is coming strictly from seeing this movie. Neither one of us have played the game.
Never played the video game.
She knew nothing about the game.
I didn't know it was a video game.
My only knowledge of the game is just knowing its existence and seeing pictures. So I know for years people have been trying to get Nathan Fillion to play it. I know years ago they were trying to make it with Mark Wahlberg. And then by the time they finally made it, Mark Wahlberg switched to a different character and Tom Holland came in as Drake or whatever the character's name is. So we're going strictly by the movie, not by the video game connection before you start going, well, we don't care. We don't play it. All right. That's what I hear when people start talking about something I don't care about. Okay. That's how you sound most of the time, by the way.
Wow. That's
anyway,
harsh.
So we dive in, we saw it. What did you think, madam?
I actually enjoyed this movie. I wasn't sure because I was just like, meh, okay, we're on a treasure hunt. Seen that before, but I actually enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the banter between Spider-Man and Marky Mark. Because you never know if people are going to have chemistry or not, but they really did. I thought they worked really well together. You see in the trailer, he's like, never trust anyone. So they don't even trust each other. So throughout the whole film, you always think somebody's double crossing someone. So you're just like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? But it's an actually really good adventure. I think it's really smart. I was thinking it was Da Vinci Code-like because a lot of the clues are driving you around the city to these different things. And so that's where my mind went. But of course, we're looking for treasure or whatever. Who knows? I liked it. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed the film.
Good. I actually had a good time with it. It was I didn't have any problems with it per se. I thought it was a little predictable. But these kind of movies a lot of times are. If you've seen enough of them, you kind of start figuring out, okay, this person's going to betray this. They're going to be connected this way. So there's a lot of that. It's not overly original, if you will, but I don't think it's trying to be. It's trying to grab that genre.
What it's doing.
I do wonder, does it connect to any of the specific games? There was clearly some moments where they were trying to make it game-like in its execution of that movement on the sequence, like there's the thing you see in the video, the trailer with the plane. That felt like maybe in a game you'd be trying to jump across those things or something, And there are elements that are kind of over the top and ridiculous, which I was kind of torn on. I kind of bought into it eventually. I just said, there's no real rules here, so we're gonna do whatever. But I was kind of like you on the Da Vinci Code National Treasure element where it was kind of grounded, a lot of clues and
Yeah.
puzzle
And
solving
you
and
can
stuff.
tell, yeah, you can tell it's video game like because it's like, well, you have to have this specific key to get here.
Yeah.
But to find the key, you have to go to here and you have to talk to this person to get the thing to come back to here. But then you have to have your partner logged in their video game so you can both do it together. You know,
Well,
it's
yeah,
very
that-
much video game driven,
And it's,
but very clue driven.
yeah, but in it, I was a little bummed, if you will, that they didn't stick to that element even at the because when they have some of the early fights and actions, there's nobody in this movie that's this unstoppable badass, which I dug. Like Tom Holland gets tossed around and beat up and thrown around, and Mark Wahlberg's not even the tough guy this time around. Like he doesn't want to climb down in catacombs, and he doesn't really fight much. He fights a little bit. He's the typical thief who just wants to get his stuff and get it out of here. I don't.
Yeah,
want
he
any...
makes somebody else do the work.
Yes, and I dug that. I like seeing that, you know, because normally he's the kind of guy you'd think walk right up and hit somebody in the face and be fighting. But I think the predictability of it and the big over the top unbelievable elements, if you don't buy into that and just let the adventure play out, you may not enjoy it.
It'd be too much.
But I was just like, I'm looking at this like those kind of movies and with James Bond thrown in and saying, you know what, let's just have fun with this movie. And I thought it was fun.
It's a lot of fun.
I hope it did well enough where we could, because I'd love to see them do other adventures and different things. But
yeah, I really liked it.
And I will say, I was a little worried how I was going to like Tom Holland. I've liked him in a few of the drama things I've seen outside of Spider-Man, not much. But seeing him in another action role because he is so young looking, but he kind of looks older here. He still looks young.
Yeah.
But he actually didn't look too far off from be walking next to Mark Wahlberg.
Correct. Well, that's why they make fun of each other too about, well, you're smaller. He's like, dude, I'm like 2 inches shorter or something. I mean, the banter is really good. That's what I'm telling you. They had good chemistry. And I think you're right. We were talking about this earlier and you're right. I think when you put him next to like a big Iron Man suit and giant Thor and all these other people, he looks younger and smaller.
Yeah. When his main contemporary is Zendaya, who's very tall but really small around. Correct. It makes him small because he's small anyway.
Because, but like even
and
Captain
everybody else
America,
is godlike sized.
Captain America by that point had beefed up and he was taller and he's like, hey, Brooklyn, hey, whatever, that thing. So everybody's so much bigger.
But Spider-Man also stays down all the time.
Correct.
So he makes him smaller. And then when he's running around with these high school students. And so he looks smaller. You put him in the world of adults, he actually looks like an adult.
Yeah, it looked good in this. So
I enjoyed the movie.
I enjoyed it too.
It's not anything you really haven't seen before.
No.
But the cast make it work, and it's fun to watch, and it's ridiculous, and
I liked it.
I would like to hear what some people that play the video game think, because those are the people that part of this was made for them, obviously. But did it match anything in the video game, or is it completely off the rails? Really, it's just name and characters alone. Because I do know that Tom Holland does not look like the character. The ruggedness of him and whatever, and Nathan Fillion looks just like him, and then the guy that actually is the voice of the character has a small cameo in the movie.
Yeah,
and you can see from the way that guy looks, I think the likeness is based on that guy too. So you can see a
little older.
It's a little throwaway. If you don't know what he looks like, there's a scene where they're coming out of the water and they're like, "You guys okay?" And they're like, "We just fell out of a plane or whatever." And he goes, "Oh yeah, something like that happened for me before." And so it was kind of this nice little nod. Anyway, but it's available now on Blu-ray and DVD. So if you haven't seen it, if you want to
grab some popcorn.
Yeah, just turn your brain off and have fun.
There's Antonio, Mark Wahlberg, and Spider-Man all in tuxedos.
I thought Antonio Banderas was kind of wasted in this movie.
I wish we had seen more. Especially, I like seeing him do like Spanish roles, not like Mexican roles, but like Spanish roles, because there is a difference in the dialects.
Yeah.
And so I liked this, and I wish we had gotten a little more of that, because we don't see a lot of him doing this type of character. Because I always expect like romantic or adventure, but in this one,
creepy.
In this one, he's not any of that. I mean, so I don't want to tell you what happens, but this type of persona I like to see, and I want to just see more of Antonio Banderas. I feel like I haven't seen a lot of him that much lately.
He's done those random movies, but yeah, he's not in the movie as much.
And I haven't seen him in a couple of years.
Don't look up Antonio Banderas right now. The one that will get you to focus. What's next on the agenda, sister?
All right. We got one more to talk about right now. All right. So this is the newest movie that is now available on
Hulu.
Hulu's. Thank you. Thank you for telling me. Okay. This movie is called The Valet, and it stars Samara Weaving, not
Margot Robbie.
which Samara Weaving looks very different in this
She
movie.
does not look anything like Margot Robbie in this movie.
I did a little research, and everybody was saying that she's probably lost a lot of weight and maybe had some work done, but whatever. You know what, lady? You're you. You can do whatever you want. And best friends, you had your best. If you don't
He was
know,
a super nice guy.
you need to go watch Batteries Not Included. Is that the movie?
Yeah, the way he's playing the dad.
Yes, that is a must see to know who this man is. He is amazing.
And we found him on the Rob Schneider show.
Yes,
when he played his brother-in-law, and that's where this came from.
Best friends.
Where he would always go to Rob Schneider, and Rob Schneider was always annoyed with him.
Yes,
but he's like, "But we're best friends," and so he'd always do this. And a fun fact story that we probably told on here before. But Batteries Not Included. Is it Batteries Not Included? Instructions Not Included.
Instructions Not Included.
Batteries Not Included is that old movie with the aliens and.
Don't watch that.
Yeah, no, you can watch it.
You can watch it, but not that.
Instructions Not Included.
Yeah.
It's about a father and a daughter, and they're dealing with loss, and
yes,
it's funny and it's sad.
Emotional. It gets you in the feels.
Got a fun twist. It's not really fun, but I was doing a press for that, and I got to meet him in person, introduce myself, and get to interview him. And I remember telling him, like, we were taking a picture, and I'm like, me and my wife are huge fans of the Rob Schneider show. And he goes, "Oh, you're probably the only two, because they only made it to season 1." And I'm like, we walk around the house all the time, best friends. He goes, "Oh my God," you go, "Best friends."
Best friends.
So there's a picture of us somewhere doing the best friends thing together.
Okay, so it's Instructions Not Included. He was in the movie Overboard with what's her name?
Is that Anna Faris?
Anna
Faris.
How to Be a Latin Lover. He was most recently in the award-winning film Coda. He plays the music teacher, so he's been in.
He was in the live-action Dora.
He was in Dora. So, anyways, he's really cool.
He also played. What was that movie that he played? That iconic actor. The Bumblebee guy.
Chespirito?
Is that what it was?
Yeah. There was a movie about that?
Yeah, we watched it. We went to the theater and saw it.
Oh.
Not the Bumblebee guy. The one dressed like a little kid, maybe.
Yes.
I never say it right, so now I don't remember.
Now
it's further down, because it's been a while now.
But yes, I know what you're talking about.
Wasn't that him? Hold on, now
I'll find it later.
It's further past down there.
But yes, no, you're talking about Cantinflas. It was the Cantinflas movie. But yes, I know
Cantinflas.
Cantinflas, yes. But it
Wasn't
doesn't.
that him?
That was him, I think. I don't know. No, I don't think it was. Now that you're saying that.
Oh no, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
It wasn't. It was the Diego Luna. Mm-hmm. Was that who it was?
Yes, I think so. Anyways, doesn't matter. This guy's awesome. You just need to know who he is, and you need to go watch. Instructions Not Included. Just have some tissues to the side. Just be prepared. Anywho, he's also in that TV show Acapulco, which we need to be watching. Doesn't matter. I hope he does the Speedy Gonzalez thing and nothing stops it.
I don't know if it's ever going to get made.
It says it's been announced, but who knows? Anyways, okay, so the movie The Valet, basically, if you see in the trailer, you see that a movie star or whatever she is dating the valet. That's all you get to know.
It's essentially the similar idea to Marry Me.
Correct. But what you need to know is the original movie, The Valet. This is based on the original film. It's a 2006 French comedy of the same name, but in Francais. There was a 2009 remake in Hindi called Do Not Disturb. And then there was a 2014 Punjabi movie called Disco Singh. And then there was a 2016 Bengali movie called Haripad Badwala. And now there's a 2022 movie, The Valet. So this is obviously the popular, funny theme for a comedy where just a normal, everyday valet driver hooks up somehow mysteriously with a brilliant movie star.
And I was completely wrong because there was Oscar, was it Haneda?
Oh, I love him.
Who was in The Losers, which I liked. That's the one that
completely different.
I was totally wrong.
But
sorry.
That was such a good movie too. Watch the Cantinflas movie.
It is a great movie.
It's very interesting. He's one of like the major Spanish, Mexican
and he was involved in a lot of movies you've heard of and don't know you heard of it.
Yeah. The Around the World in whatever days. I mean, it was a big deal. Anyways, so in this movie, there's so much happening, and I don't want to spoil
The
anything.
premise is the two.
I told them
I
that.
know, but it's basically the same idea. They get put in a situation, and so
A
it's
little fish out of water.
yeah, it's basically a culture clash of a Hispanic culture and a white lady, but it's also not just the race culture, it's also the status culture and financial of one being filthy rich, have anything she wants, the other person just struggling to make ends meet. And there's that typical element of, are they really friends? Are they really becoming in lovers? Is it just the financial aspect that's been put them together?
Mhm.
Is, and then there's all the different elements and the people involved. It's a story we've seen a billion times in different ways, but it works.
It works.
And it works mostly because it might be one of the most unexpected couplings.
But I can see them being friends now for life.
Yeah,
In real
That's what I'm
life.
saying though. Is it doesn't look like he plays not only obviously the Hispanic aspect of their culture well, since it's his life.
Yeah.
But he plays the everyman really well, and he's kind of got a comedic look.
Correct.
And he has that look of somebody that could be very intelligent, could be very well spoken, and he is. Like I said, I've met him in person, but he also has a look of somebody that could be a buffoon.
Correct. He can do both.
He in this movie, he's just like this average guy that he wants the best for everybody, but he also doesn't have a lot of confidence in himself and what he deserves.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this thing where it's much like Marry Me, where it's two people put in a situation that neither one of them want to be in, that can help them, and because of a different situation they got thrust together, but kind of really a self-discovery on both sides of
Correct.
what they're missing and what they need.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, because you mentioned like he is just like your average dude. He doesn't think he deserves any better. He's like, he's struggling, that's it, that's just life, and he meets this lady and she's like, no, you need to ask for more, you need to do. So she's trying to encourage him, but at the same time he's encouraging her, because even though she's rich and famous, she's actually very alone. Like her own assistant doesn't even like, she has no friends and no family. And so she meets his family, and I'm telling you, if you meet Mexican family, it's like 50 people in a little room.
I got blessed being part of the Mexican family.
My mom,
because parents, her Mexican family do not do all these things. So I didn't get walked into the one that has 700 people at every event. Thankfully, there's a smaller group.
Yeah, my mom only had 2 kids. My dad wanted like 5.
No, but I'm talking about.
Well, because my family doesn't all live here.
Well, that, and they're not as close and tight knit.
We're not super Mexican like that.
Like, I grew up around, my best friend is half
they're probably
Mexican,
more.
And my martial arts instructor was Mexican. So I was around all this type of culture my whole life.
It's a lot.
When I finally married into that culture, it's not even the same with what I was used to. I got all ready, and then it's like 4 people at dinner, and I'm like, oh.
Well, because it's just me and my brother, and all my dad's family's in Guatemala. But here's the thing: if we were in Guatemala, everybody would be there, because one of my I don't know, she's not really my cousin or whatever, but one of my relatives called my mom or was talking to my dad, and they're like, hey, put Drusilla on the phone. And I was like, she doesn't live here. And they're like, well, put Jerry on. He's like, he doesn't live here. So they're confused that we don't all live in the little compound together, because they do. So it's so bizarre.
Or at least not over there all the time.
Yeah, or not. I don't live next door.
Yeah.
Like, why am I so far away?
Well, and like my best friend, his family,
they all live
almost the same street,
right?
Because the house he grew up in, he and his husband are the only 2 that don't live on that street. Well, there's not all of them. It's like 3 of them. One of them lives in the original house. They were living across the street from his parents one time. Then the other one lived down the street and 3 houses down.
I'm telling you, it's very typical for our culture, and I think also from other cultures, not U.S. based, but like India or when I was in Morocco, or all those other cultures all around the world, except here, all your families are like together in the same house, or at least next door to each other. So she gets involved with this guy, and suddenly she belongs, like she's in a family.
And that's annoying to him, because he's around it all the time.
Yes.
And he's like, he loves his family. The blessing of it. But he's like, I am so sorry about my family. I know they're a lot or whatever. And she says something like, it's fine, I don't ever see my family.
Yeah.
And you see her watching everybody. And then there's another very small aspect of the story that becomes a bigger deal that I find interesting, that they don't do in these kind of movies often. Usually your focus is just going to be the main two,
Mm-hmm.
than all the silly friends or coworkers, the villains that don't want them together, the funny friend, the assistants, all those characters. This one, there's even like this other side love story that's happening with his mom.
So cute.
And a man. And it's another level of the power of love mentality, because they don't speak the same language, and he's not English, so he speaks a language that she's Mexican. Then you have the English speaking people, and there's a little girl in there who's like, I'm assuming it's like his granddaughter or great granddaughter or something. The lady says something, he says something, and she's like, I have no idea what either one of you are saying. But it's this nice love letter.
And that's so indicative of kids today. Like, they don't always learn the language.
Yeah.
We did. I didn't have a choice, though. My dad didn't really know English. And my grandparents really only spoke Spanish because they were like legit from Mexico.
Right.
So my mom knew English because she went to school here. But I don't know, man. I went to school. I started school. I didn't know there was a difference. I thought it was all the same thing. So I'm going to mess up this baby, too, because I speak to her in Spanish sometimes. I yell at her in Spanish. Lord have mercy. Anyways, this is an awesome movie. You should watch it. I'm ready to watch it again.
It's cute. It's heartfelt. And like I said, if they take a subject matter you've seen a billion times, but it's done in a way that it doesn't have the generic Hollywood ending. It has some elements in it that are like, not everybody's always turning on each other.
Correct.
It's people that should be turning on other people seem to have more of a real life thought process, and they help out with things, or they see different things. And the ending was my favorite, because
I agree.
You kind of expect, if I was to tell you about this movie, everybody's instinct would be the same of how it's going to end. We all know how these end, and always be like, well, I would have never believed that. That's not
it doesn't make sense.
They do something here that makes so much more sense.
Thank you.
And it's genius.
For having a great ending.
Yeah, it's genius. It still keeps the relationship intact, but it does something different. And it just makes it not only a better movie, but it makes you believe that these two characters have grown into what they were missing.
Yeah. And there are some good people in this movie too, by the way. There's a lot of great actors in this movie, because I like him. I like her. I like him. I know her. Who wouldn't?
What do you mean you know her? You know her personally?
No, I'm just saying from her entire...
Max Greenfield from The Neighborhood.
From the entire thing.
Who's that girl?
And then this guy we looked up, we're like, he's amazing. That guy...
I worked with... what's his face? Roll back up. Go back up. Right there. Marine... Is it Noah? Nolasco. I worked with him. I held him at gunpoint.
Oh, wow. And then the girl that played Selena's sister in the Selena TV show on Netflix is in there. I mean, there's just so many good actors. And I like that we're giving a voice to Spanish actors for a while. People don't get all like, you're pushing an agenda. Get over it. It's good stuff.
Well, I like, too, that it was a movie that was really showcasing culture without saying we're showcasing culture. Well, it was just, this is where it's at. This is where they live. This is how they live.
And this is how it is. And there's that one scene that I thought was just so indicative of the culture gap, as well as the money gap of the guy hands his car keys to the guy, and he smiles and just keeps walking. I'm like, really?
Well, there's a whole ongoing element about being invisible.
The valet.
And the valet being invisible to the rich people, because they hand them the keys, they keep walking, they never notice you. And then how she goes into their part of town, and she enjoys being invisible because she's always got paparazzi and she's always got people in her face. And it offends him that she's enjoying being invisible, because he's like, it's not okay to be invisible because we're invisible all the time. But you have to start understanding that, but you being invisible is people not seeing you. Her being invisible is finally people not seeing me. Mm-hmm. And that's all they do. And it's needing that balance in the middle.
And it's interesting how that perception affects people, Yeah. Because to him, it was like so like degrading.
Yeah.
Like he literally says in once, he's like, they don't even look you in the face. They're just like, here.
Which was a throwaway line, and then it becomes a major moment in the movie.
Yeah. Well, now it reminds me I need to make sure I'm nice to valets. I try to be.
I don't. I throw my keys at them.
I don't. Run. I'm like, thank you.
As if I ever go to a valet.
Yeah. I mean, well, sometimes in Dallas, like Dallas, you have to.
Hey, we gave an entire tip to a valet that didn't even park our car because they were screwing him over.
That poor kid. He was such a nice kid. Austin.
Yes.
I still remember his name.
It was during the right out of the pandemic, and people were shorthanded.
Nobody
and
showed up for work except for him, and it was this major event for that
Clint Eastwood
exhibit, and it was a big dinner and exhibit,
a
and
gala.
yeah, and he's the only one that showed up, and so we ended up not even using valet. We went and parked our own car like 3 blocks down.
Yeah, because they told us, they said you can wait, but it's going to be while we have one runner, and we were like, that's
Poor
fine, we'll
kid.
park. We parked and saw him running in, and
I'm like, here, have a tip, dude.
we ended up saying, here's your tip. He goes, but I didn't park your car. I said, but
Doesn't
you parked
matter.
everyone else's, then someone tonight will screw you over. So
Yes,
just in
they
case,
will. Anyways,
tip.
check out the movie The Valet. It's on Hulu now.
It's a fun movie.
You're gonna like it.
I did. I enjoyed it. We really love him though, so there was
I
probably
love
very
him.
unlikely I was gonna not like it
Oh,
because I
correct.
like him. But
I just love the facial features he makes. He makes.
he
some
reminds
funny
me of Don
faces.
Knotts.
Yes,
He's like a
Mexican
Hispanic. He's like a Mexican Don Knotts. He's like,
Yeah, he does. Oh, that's so true. And his haircut in this movie is horrible, but on purpose, and they make fun of it. They're like, "Ooh, that doesn't help."
Look,
Yeah,
they're making fun of his mustache.
no, but they're like, "Ooh, and this haircut doesn't help." So they do. They make fun of it too. It's so funny. Anyways, he's a very nice man. There you go.
And he really is nice in real life.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, moving on. What else we got?
That's it.
That's
so we're over to you.
We had a short one because we didn't watch one of the other couple movies we're going to see was coming out this week. We have a couple of things coming out that kind of some people are excited about. The Beatles in India, some sort of a feature-length documentary, which I'm going to assume
There's been so
the
much
Beatles.
stuff coming out of that with Beatles.
I'm assuming it's going to be involving the Beatles in India.
Hey.
We have Ray Donovan the movie is coming to Blu-ray and DVD.
Do I need to finish the show?
Yes, it's
a
continuation to wrap up the show.
I got to finish that last season.
But it's also on Showtime, whatever streaming. So like I went in and finished the show, and then I went and watched the movie.
That's what I got to watch that last season.
Is it Showtime or HBO? I don't remember. It's Showtime. And then they're releasing a lot of the Jack Ryan stuff on 4K. The Sum of Fears, which was the Ben Affleck, Morgan Freeman movie. Patriot Games, the Harrison Ford one, obviously. There's a movie that Ted K. Unabomber flick is coming out. The Teen Titans Go and Superhero Girls crossover Mayhem in the multiverse is coming to Blu-ray and DVD.
Huh.
Wild Things is getting a 4K release.
Oh, nice! Because
that's the one with Nev Campbell and Matt Dillon.
Oh, and that's the one where if you pause it, you can see Kevin Bacon's penis.
Yes. The original Candyman is getting the 4K treatment from Shout Factory, I believe.
Shout.
A movie called X that I really want to see. It was Ty West Movies X. Everybody was raving about it.
Oh.
It's like a horror flick, but I think it might have to do something to do with like porno or something. I don't know the whole thing, but I've heard it was really great. It's finally getting released. And probably the biggest release this week is The Batman is hitting 4K, which we also have a giveaway on our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com.
All right.
Coming out
this week, some big stuff coming out.
Yes.
This week.
Tomorrow on Apple TV Plus, something called Prehistoric Planet. It is narrated by Sir David Attenborough, so I will watch anything that man talks about.
Not to be confused with his brother Richard Attenborough, who was in Jurassic Park.
Now,
Rest in peace.
Yeah. David Attenborough does all of the wildlife things, so he talks
like
about
90
anything.
Years old now, dude.
I will watch anything this man does. So, Prehistoric Planet looks really interesting. Apple TV Plus. Coming out on Tuesday, this is an interesting one. It's a movie called Captors, and it's about this lady who gets somehow, shipped off to this remote mansion and with no way to escape, and finds out that she is there because people have captured her for some stuff, like I guess sex trafficking or whatever. I don't know. Trying to survive and keep her sanity. Here's the interesting thing. The lady that stars in this movie is an actual human trafficking victim. And by the way, survivor, because she's still alive, boo. She made it out. So that to me just seems like it would be so traumatic to do the movie. But she just wanted to do this because she escaped. It says 10 years ago, she escaped human trafficking. She was a human trafficking victim. So she's telling a story. Love it. Okay, also on Tuesday, for one day only, it's a movie called Facing Nolan, and it's a story about Nolan Ryan. So, also coming to Apple TV Plus, a movie called I Am Here. This is interesting. It's about a lady called Ella Blumenthal, who's 98 years old. She is a Holocaust survivor, but she's from South Africa. So it's interesting to see these different stories coming out. So that should be interesting also. Also coming to video demand and digital, called Viva Maestro. It's about Spanish conductor Gustavo Dudamel, called one of the most influential people by Time magazine. So, going to be interesting to see. Oh, sorry, he's from Venezuela. I said Spanish. He's Venezuelan. Be right. Okay. Coming out on Friday. I'm going to come back to you. We're going to get back into the danger zone with Top Gun Maverick, the newest movie from Tom Cruise.
Not to be confused with the Asylum's Top Gunner Danger Zone that's coming out.
That is true. We've got to watch that. Anyway, so Tom Cruise reprising his role as Maverick. So it's
feels like we saw this movie a long time ago, but it was just Monday last week.
Yeah. So, anyways, we will be talking about this. I do recommend you watch the first movie right before you head into this one.
Yes,
they directly connect.
It is not a remake. It's not a reboot. It is a sequel.
And it makes the whole story better work together if you watch them back to back.
You'll get to hear about our complaints about the original movie next week.
Correct. Then also coming out on Friday is the Bob Burger movie. So somebody here very excited, super fan of Bob's Burgers.
Seen it already too. Cannot wait to talk about it.
Did this short film come out before it?
My butt
has a fever. It's a short film coming out during the release of Bob's Burgers.
Oh,
it says it's a musical.
It's probably something that's probably going to show before it or something.
Okay.
It didn't show it to us, but
all right.
That's not unheard.
Coming out on Prime Video, a movie called Emergency.
I kept hearing about this.
This is interesting. So it's about these college kids who are on spring break. They go out to celebrate, but one guy's like, you know what? Let's get back to the apartment because I've got to finish this project no matter what happens at spring break. Still got to do my work. They get back to the apartment. And it's three guys.
They discover a white woman.
They discover a passed out white woman in their apartment. The door's wide open.
Are they African American men?
And it's two black men and a Latino man. What do you do?
Those white women, man.
What do you do at this point? You tell me. You're still in a group of middle-aged white men. Y'all are in trouble right now too.
We blame them.
But what do you do? Do you call the police? Do you not?
Here's the problem with this.
This is the story in this movie.
Here's the problem
Emergency.
is because the logical idea that would get everybody out of these arguments 90% of the time is to call the police.
Call 911.
But you also do have the fear, and it's not an irrational fear, but of a person of color having a fear to call the police because one, the irrational fear that their history culture put on them, but then the current issues that have now made it a non-irrational fear is kind of embedded. So your first thought is, if I call you and you get here,
you're going to blame me.
Logic says if I called you, then obviously I didn't do it. But who's going to walk through that door? Is it going to be
I think this is when you start videoing everything.
Yes. Is it going to be the police officer or the detective or whatever that is understanding and will do their job and listen to you, or is it the one that walks the door as soon as you're in and starts hitting you and shooting you because you're there? I think without seeing the movie, I think the first instinct is if you do call the police, which you should, that's the right thing to do. Expect to be arrested.
I think so.
So, because the standard thing is if I was to shoot anybody, typically I'll get arrested anyway while they figure out. That's the law. Like if
I know, but in this instance, you just find someone passed out in your house. What do you do?
So that becomes
it's creepy.
It's a lot of elements there, and as a white man,
I think it's going to be a very interesting thing for us to talk about.
Fear, and I understand that it is a real thing.
Yeah, because you're not what is it called? You're not a lived experiencer of the situation.
No, which is kind of not fully true. Because I've been part of a racist aspect because of dating Hispanic or being friends with mostly Hispanics and Asians most of my life. I've been in a group where I've been turned on by white people because I was friends with them.
Yeah.
I know it's not the same thing. I'm not delusional. Say, look, I've experienced racism too. I haven't in nowhere near the same way.
We have a little bit, but
even then, I was not experiencing it the way you're experiencing it. You know, it's not the same thing. But I understand the existence, not necessarily the feeling.
Yeah.
Because no matter how supportive, how awesome I am, how much I got your back, I am still a white man.
Yeah.
And I still have white privilege. That is a thing, whether you want to admit to it or not.
That's okay.
And it's sad, and I'm embarrassed by it sometimes, but I didn't plan this.
There's nothing, you didn't do anything.
So when we're done with this, you need to make me dinner.
Okay.
Because White privilege.
No, how about because I'm your wife and that's what I would do anyway?
Because you're my Hispanic wife and it's your
Wow.
job.
You're a mess.
And I say this as I'm the one that does all the house cleaning. And
yeah, you do my cleaning. Thank you. Also on Prime Video, something called Kick Like Tyla, following the AFLW player and boxing champion Tyla Harris. Following her around, so who knows about that. And then the much anticipated, and I know somebody here is so excited, coming to Disney Plus, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
It's only 6 episodes.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. It says starts 10 years after the dramatic events of Revenge of the Sith.
Featuring the return of Ewan McGregor.
Jesus.
And Hayden Christensen.
So, guys, what do I need to watch? Should I watch Clone Wars? Should I watch...
The reality is you probably only need to watch... Well,
the movies? What's the cartoons with...
Hold on, let me rephrase that.
Darth Maul?
As I'm sitting with it, Clone Wars is almost a necessity on top of the 3 prequel films because they're bringing the Inquisitors in. And the Inquisitors were part of Clone Wars and I think some of Rebels and things like that.
What was the cartoon with the sisters and
that's Clone
Savage
Wars.
Press and all that?
Clone Wars.
Okay. At the end.
But by the time
later ones, because we need to know that.
by the time this takes place,
10 years later,
Darth Maul technically could still exist.
That's what I'm telling you.
Still
because
be
of
part
the Dark
of,
Sisters.
Well, I was originally thinking, okay, they probably would have killed, but the element of time when they killed him was in Rebels, not in Clone Wars.
That's what I'm telling you.
So he could technically still be part of Crimson Dawn if they want to bring him in.
I'm telling you, I think you've got to be up on your Star Wars.
You know, with Solo, they left the whole thing open with clearly a plan to deal with Crimson Dawn, and Darth Maul is leading Crimson Dawn. And he makes it all the way through the end of Clone Wars, and he doesn't until old Obi-Wan, Alec Guinness Obi-Wan, kills him on Tatooine in Rebels. So if we're still in that time frame, then technically Darth Maul could come back.
Yeah.
But most of it, it's obviously the Inquisitors are there, the Ninth Sister, Seventh Sisters, all of them in there. And they were actually Clone Wars characters.
At the end, the last few seasons of Clone Wars.
So
right?
I think you can get away with just watching the prequels, but I think if you've seen the
have
Clone
the
Wars,
other knowledge, yeah, I think it would help you not in case they do skip to just some of the stuff. You're gonna be like, how is this happening? Because that has happened to somebody got all upset that something like Darth Maul showed up somewhere.
Yeah.
And we're like, did you not watch?
Been back forever.
Yeah, but they're like, how did that happen? That wasn't in the movie. No, because there's more than just the movies, my friends.
Much like Marvel, the Star Wars TV animated series all is part of the same feeding.
You've got to.
It's kind of like if you watch The Mandalorian and you saw Ahsoka show up, all that fed off of Clone Wars and Rebels and
from the other show.
Yeah.
You got to watch all of it. Anyways, we'll be here to discuss it all. Don't worry. And somebody's going to be very upset that it's just one episode at a time.
I believe it's going to be dropping 2 episodes though.
Yes.
So, and it's not going to be like Moon Knight where we got 2 episodes and we got to wait a month. So Moon Knight, they sent us the first 4 episodes for review, and then I had to wait until.
Oh, like O'Shea Jackson Jr.
I know. So is Kumail Nanjiani.
Nanjiani.
Do you even know who O'Shea Jackson Jr. is?
Yeah.
Who is that?
He is Baby O'Shea.
And O'Shea is who?
Don't tell me.
I'm not going to. I'm waiting for you to tell me.
It's Ice Cube.
That is correct. She said it with no confidence whatsoever, but you were correct.
Cube.
But yeah,
he's this guy.
And it is. Can I just make a point? It's watching the talk show circuit over the last few months has been just crazy because it's like all the people that we haven't seen.
We're reliving the 90s.
So we had Nicolas Cage on his triumphant press tour.
So good too.
For the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And James Hong, who got his Hollywood Walk of Fame.
So cute.
Who's 92, 93 or whatever.
Yes.
And he's in that Everything Everywhere movie or whatever.
We have to watch that.
So he's been on talk shows, and then now seeing Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor on the talk show circuit again.
I was saying that other little Asian guy that was inspired to come back because of Crazy Rich Asians.
Short round from Indiana Jones. Yeah.
I mean, there's just been some. I'm telling you, we're reliving the 90s. I'm happy right now. It's making me happy.
And if we're in a year that we have a Top Gun movie, a Jurassic Park movie.
Telling you, it's all coming back.
Oh, well.
All right. Tell me about our giveaways.
Most of them are still the same stuff. What I was fixing to drop, Invincible, we do not have anymore. It's going to drop off there because I do have a new one, which I'll tell you what it is, but I just haven't told her. We still have a couple extra copies. Sometimes they send us 5-10 copies of stuff. That's why
We
they
have a
sit
lot.
so long. And some of the people, I have tons of people that sign up for them, and I have other ones that don't sign up for a lot of them. And then sometimes I wait because they're going to send me more. Sometimes
I'll mark out Invincible. Sorry.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. So we have 6:45 and then a movie called Row 19. I'm going to skip Invincible. We have The Batman on 4K, The Long Night. We got one more copy of Singing in the Rain on 4K. And there's a new Ip Man movie
What?
that is not part of the Donnie Yen series. It's a whole separate Ip Man movie
wow.
that's coming out from Logo USA. So I have one of those to give away. And then there's something else kind of big fixing to show up. So hopefully it'll be here this week.
That's cool. Well, make sure you check out our website, HollywoodMatrimony.com. Don't forget to click the contest button. That's where you find all the free stuff. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. Go find us at Hollywood Matrimony on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We will see you next week.
Bye, children.